Shabbat Shalom. It is a really lovely Sunday morning. Oh, the green is getting greener. We are here in Pittsburgh, north of Pittsburgh. We are here in northeast Turtle Island, Abya Yala. Oh, the rain just started. What a beautiful sound. We have some notes. Could I show you them? There should be a picture of them somewhere. Let's see if, I don't know, it might be backwards. I don't know if it will show up backwards. I think it will show up correctly. I think I'm already backwards on the screen, and so it will show up correctly. Those are my notes. So there are a lot of pieces, PEACES, that we are putting into place that we happen to have on this list. And I made a piece, PEACE, a few moments ago about signals accuracy. And I am profoundly aware that in reviewing the items on this page and communicating about them, I must ensure my own true signals accuracy to the best extent that I can. And that's very challenging when I and others have continued to have to confront circumstances of poisoning where there really is not a greater conversation about how that is happening. And so when we reach for verbal access, we are not supported by most of our media environments, which are part of how anybody has verbal access. We really need to recognize this. I don't want to get sidetracked, but wow, this is very important. The media infrastructure that is the greater body of your community has been co-opted. It has been positioned in such a way that it is the intermediary in your relationships. It supplies your moment-to-moment sense of how to express something in words in a way that will be recognized and supported by your environment. If the greater media body is co-opted, then people start to not understand one another and speak in ways that do not fully connect with what is actually being expressed or communicated about. And so if you've had this feeling where you're communicating with someone and the response they give you does not seem to be in any way connected to what you were saying to them, you may have this experience repeatedly in diverse different situations. This is one of the results of the co-opted media body. Who was it? Was it Queen Latifah? I think it was Queen Latifah. I'm not totally sure, and maybe we can check. But I think that she was talking about radio. When radio got conglomerated, what happens is the radio creators are the centralized power players. And then they reach into all of these different communities and say, here, we're giving you this. But what they're giving to that community is not inherently part of the community or from the community. And in fact, many cases, it does not even reference the real community at all. It's there to sell something. And so the communities themselves, individual communities, get cut off from a sense of what their own community bodies are experiencing, because they've got these messages coming in from outside the community with really coercive, forceful kinds of media communications that people feel stressed out by but don't really understand what is happening. And as a result, the community doesn't get to exchange signals in the community about that community's nourishment. The community ends up exchanging signals that's about something else out there and loses its own contact with itself. Community members lose contact with one another. They're being sold to. They're being isolated into scripted ways of behaving based on somebody's lucrative marketing strategy. We refer quite frequently to these dynamics as trafficking. They are used for purposes of trafficking. We've been talking about traffic commercials in this context. Sometimes our languaging is not the languaging that others want to use also, but it's very important that we recognize the elements of this signal's accuracy. Each community requires media resourcing that feeds and serves that community, that uplifts the community members in that community, that recognizes the context of that community, that recognizes the interstitial resourcing of that community, that allows community members to be more connected and resonant with one another, not less, not distracted. And so that, all of that is part of why all of us are finding a lot more challenges than we'd like to have expressing ourselves and communicating effectively. So that when I look at this beautiful list, there's a lot of beautiful stuff on this list. How am I going to do this stuff if I'm being poisoned and can't figure out how to talk about it? How am I going to do this stuff if I am influenced by media coordination that is there to extract money and resources and awareness from my communities, rather than ensure that the community can recognize and strengthen and feed itself and regenerate its own inherently healing energy to share with others in the vicinity of this community. How is a community a whole being? How does a community cast away the crutches? I guess that's what I wanted to say. Nature access and physical rehabilitation is one of the earlier things on this list. And this requires signals accuracy and caring communications. It requires friends. t.me/intuitive friends. Please come join us. Strengthening locational resource hubs, public and private. Am I feeling really disconnected? It's not surprising. That is a known, reliable effect of certain kinds of poisoning. I have been experiencing this kind of poisoning, so if I am having trouble connecting to my faith, we should not be shocked. The faith is here. And when it's hard, we need to address our communications and detoxification strategies. Local community IPR coordination of garden activities, so important. Discussions, public media recording our own media together to share with one another. Uplifting our own media expressions to discover the art of the community we're in. To discover the amazing living beings in the community that we're in. Arts and music collaborations, discovering one another, building relationships with one another, learning how to build respect and trust with one another. This is the necessary basis of everything else that we could possibly be discussing. Altogether joyful goings on cannot occur if we do not first ensure we are communicating successfully and respectfully. How do you feel joy if your words are continuously misinterpreted, or you are prevented from saying things about your real physical safety to the people around you who want to be friends, who want to be colleagues? We would have to be communicating effectively, not using scripts written by marketers taking money from trafficking organizations. Okay. There can be another video